Tonight, when it comes to D3 football, we're talking about some of the best defenses in the country. These units should be elite heading into 2025. They obviously did so in 24. Jimmy, you and I are going to break it down, talk about some of these squads and what they have going on the defensive side of the ball. This is kind of, for me, based on a combination of the points per game, yards per game metrics, but also just looking around the country and seeing what squads perform well. There wasn't necessarily a list or a ranking, and I think you have to say all those things out front. All of our transfer portal data is courtesy of Athlink tonight. They have that transfer portal database that we utilize on a pretty regular basis over here at D1R. But to start things off, let's go start in the Northeast. Endicott, the Gulls, Jimmy. This is a team that has sprung into national prominence as of very recently. When you talk about the grand scheme of history of D3 football, top performances from last year, they held Ithaca to 7 points. The Cortland, that rival, to just 17 later on. We know how potent both of those offensive attacks can be. They did struggle against a strong Hardin-Simmons squad out of the ASC. That was probably one of the lower points for this defense last year, where I'm sure they had a lot more learning opportunities coming out of a game like that and a loss like that. They lose their top two tacklers that were graduate students last year. That's going to happen with a lot of these squads, I think, as you'll find as we go through this. Also, have to replace their top pass rusher, Hector Johnson. He got invited to the Patriots rookie minicamp, had a great story about him that we shared on the pod recently. But those are going to be some things they have to go and replicate and replace heading into this season. But you talk about the 2025 squad, and when you look at the leadership going into this fall for the Gulls, you'll see that there are some guys on the defensive side of the ball that'll be captains wearing the C, so to speak. You got at defensive back Joe Terrell, first team all-conference, third team all-region DB, 60 tackles, 3 interceptions a year ago. And then at the linebacker position, Danny Fleming, 38 tackles in 2024, needs to take on that larger role for the Gulls in 25, and he was at a position group that maybe he didn't really need to have that kind of impact a year ago, but now in 25, he's going to have much more of a need at that position. And you look, too, not only are the players changing maybe of scenery a little bit, you look at the coaching staff of this Gulls squad. They make a few additions heading into the 2025 season, the most notable of which for our topic of conversation today on the defense being Jake Solera. He played actually at D3 Western New England. He was a first-team Commonwealth Coast linebacker himself previously, was coaching at now FCS Stonehill College. So that's a big addition for them on the defensive side of the ball. And, of course, I don't think, Jimmy, you can talk about Endicott without talking about how they suit up on any given Saturday. The Gulls have some of the best jersey combinations in all of college football. They've got the incredible greens, the navy blues, and then, of course, the crisp whites. I feel like I just have to mention that anytime I talk about the Gulls, dude. Really exciting squad.
I mean, hey, you look good, you feel good, you play good. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Coach Prime's not wrong when he says that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And then, talk another Stonewall caliber defense here, the Hobart Statesmen. Top offense and defense last year in the Liberty League. First conference titles in 2016, thanks to an 8.3 points per game. A lot of their defense, just an absolute staggering stat right there. It's just unbelievable. 8 points a game, Kobe? I mean, are you kidding me? 8?
Correct. And that stat may be, because I'm pulling some of these off conference websites, so off the top of mind right now, that may be inside of Liberty League play. I can't 100% verify that. Either way.
That is unbelievable. You lose your 2 starting defenders in the portal. I mean, tough, but at the same time, Mike McGee coming back for his senior year, 61 tackles last year, 9 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks last year. So they have some prominent, formidable players coming back and that are ready to create more turnovers as they did last year with 16 interceptions, 11 forced fumbles, and they recovered all 11 of those fumbles, Kobe. I know their defensive individual drills, they have to be doing like fall on the ball, like swarm to the ball. These guys, you know what I'm talking about? Like they are definitely making that a point of emphasis, and it's showing up. And also,
dude, batting 1,000% on forced fumbles is insane. It's
uncanny. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable earlier. I can't say it too many times, but it really is. And then obviously freshman DB Corey Rock picking off the rock quite a lot last year with 4 picks last year. Hopefully tries to do that again this year in year 2.
Could be a nominee for the all-name team coming up there, Corey Rock. That might have to be listed on our all-name team coming up, Jim.
Yeah. I mean, he's a rock magnet. He just keeps finding the ball, you know?
I like that. I like that a lot. We put that on a T-shirt, man.
Wait. Speaking of names, I saw a dude, Beans Rice. I mean, that's the best one. That's the best one.
I believe, yeah.
Shout out to Beans Rice. Beans, if you're listening. You're a friend of the pod, Beans. You're a friend
I
of the
love
pod.
that, dude. And to keep it going, we'll talk about a team that has gotten a lot of airtime on D1 Rejects, but for very good reason. The back-to-back PAC champions, although they did share that title in 2024 with a couple other squads. Grove City, the Wolverines, Jimmy, the top scoring defense in the conference, under 11 points allowed per contest in 2024. They're not losing any defensive playmakers to the portal, and I think that's something that you come to realize when you cover Grove City very early on, is that their retention, their rates of retention got to be among the best in the country. When you get people inside of this program, they buy in to what the coaching staff over there has in store for them. A great example of that is the linebacker Caleb Brubaker, 6 foot, 205 pounds, going into his senior year this season. I say that he transferred into Grove City. He wasn't initially part of this Wolverine crew for his entire collegiate career. Has absolutely bought into this program, been a staple of this defense now moving forward for them. Led the team in tackles last season, 74. Also had 5 interceptions, 7.5 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. This guy filled up every nook and cranny of the stat book, if you will. And this is a team that, again, they tallied 17 interceptions in 2024, 8 forced fumbles, 26 sacks. You go down the line, all of that adds up to a plus 21 turnover margin for a team that is winning in just about every aspect that you could, paired with obviously a very potent offense. So another guy you need to know about when it comes to this linebacker core, which has got to be one of the best in the country as I go through these guys and their accolades, Ben Bladel heading into his senior year as well. This is going to be a senior-led linebacking core that will be the anchor, proverbial anchor of this defense. He was first team All-PAC in 2024, second in the conference in sacks and tackles for loss. A consensus All-American. He is now the all-time sacks and TFL leader in Grove City's history. As of last year, still has another year to play. Had 12 career forced fumbles for that guy too. So Bladel, another guy you need to keep your eye on for this Grove City squad. And closing it out inside of that linebacker core still, Jack Jolly, another fantastic name out of Grove City here.
Fantastic. Come on now.
Again, fitting the mold, 6 foot, over 200 pounds, guys that can go in, be thumpers on the line of scrimmage. He started all 11 games for the Wolverines last year, 68 tackles, a second-team All-PAC selection. So for me, that's the biggest takeaway. This linebacker, senior-led linebacker core should be the anchor of this defense. It should be a reason that this team continues to go further and further and set new highs for this program, Jim.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you have a linebacker like that, you can just,
Yeah, 3 of them at that.
All right, the Linfield Wildcats led the Northwest Conference in scoring offense and defense. They do lose their best corner, DB, to the portal. Top 4 tacklers are also gone from last season. Having to replace 3-time All-American Blake Rybar. Going to miss his presence for sure, but they got junior linebacker out of Hawaii, Blaze Holani, sending 6 feet tall, 220 pounds, 3 picks last year, 40 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss. Anytime a linebacker can consistently get interceptions, yeah, it's kind of Brian Urlacher-esque, a linebacker that can drop back and make plays in the secondary,
I like that. But affecting every phase of the game, right? That's important. If you can be an asset inside of the secondary and also a part of that front 7, so to speak, depending on the scheme and the format that you run, linebacker has to be a transient type of position. He embodies that.
Yeah, certainly. And then I have not watched any Linfield film, but I have to imagine they run a lot of Tampa 2 looks if their linebackers are getting that many picks, because they're having that middle linebacker drop deep in the middle of the field. But junior corner Kenyon Johnson transferred from Southern Oregon, 2 picks, 32 tackles, so a very physical corner at that. Very lengthy off the line of scrimmage as well. Hard for receivers to get off press coverage. They will play a record 7 home games this year. 7 home games. That's a great
home games.
For
a team out west, too, that is so used to having to travel everywhere, right? You look at Linfield and those teams on the West Coast, they are so used to having to fly or bus these long distances. 7 home games for this Linfield squad can extend their all-divisions record of consecutive winning seasons to 69 years in a row.
Nice.
Wow.
69.
Wow.
Nice.
That is wild. That's ridiculous. Nice. And you look too, I think something that I pulled up for their social media, the average scores for them against their conference foes since 2010. The look at this graphic is absolutely ridiculous. Since 2010, the Cats have beaten Northwest Conference opponents by an average score of 47.8 to 11.4 points per game. for an average margin of victory of 36.4 points per game. And then there's the opponent by opponent breakdown of each of these teams. That was eye-opening to me as someone who has followed along and obviously knows the recent history of what Linfield has done out west, but not knowing maybe the full story as it comes to the last decade plus. Very eye-opening stat for me. But we'll move things forward to the defending Stag Bowl champs, Jimmy, the North Central Cardinals, who have become really the standard inside of Division III football in recent history with what they've been able to accomplish out of Illinois. They're picking up a few interesting transfers that I think kind of highlight this class and this defense on the defensive side of the ball. Anthony Fisher, he comes in from D2 Bluefield State at the defensive back position, 27 tackles, 2 interceptions a year ago for the Big Blue. Could be a guy to come in and contribute right away. And this quarterback room has been talked a lot about for North Central because of the absence of Lanen and the influx of a plethora of transfers from all different types of levels of college football. But then you bring in defensive lineman, Eli Rennick from Wittenberg, the 6'2", 245-pound defensive lineman. To me, feels like a day one type starter for this defense. Now, it's North Central. You never know if you can come right in and be that kind of guy right away. But you watch the highlight reel on Eli. His first play of the highlight reel is taking a pass the other way for 6, and it was like 50-plus yards. Big dude, athletic dude with a monster frame, and just always seems to be in the right place at the right time. Hopefully can do that for this North Central squad as well. And the Cardinals last year dominated, I think it goes without saying, in CCIW play through and through, less than 12 points per game allowed inside of that conference, and really blew out a lot of their opponents. As far as a couple of returners go for this team, senior defensive lineman, again, John Sullivan, 6'2", 280, a big presence inside for this squad, 68 tackles, 15 and a half TFLs with 6 sacks and 2 fumble recoveries a year ago for this guy. He was a finalist for the Cliff Harris Award in 2024. And then on the defensive secondary side, defensive back, Jamar Daniel, 5'10", 170 pounds. That seems to be the guy for them that is going to be the cornerstone of that defensive secondary for this North Central squad. He started all 15 games for them a year ago and had 47 tackles doing that, 3 interceptions, 12 PBUs. That's a number maybe doesn't get too much talked about. It's hard to tabulate and calculate, whatever. He was a second-team all-conference player, and I think the stat that stands out most, if nothing else, for this North Central squad is what they were able to do, or rather how they were able to limit this Springfield offense a year ago inside of the playoffs. Springfield, one of the most potent rushing attacks in all of D3 football. You look at this graphic with what they were able to do compared to the season average from Springfield, cumulative over the course of the 2025 season. What you'll notice is that it was locked down. They did that to a lot of different opponents. Springfield just illustrated maybe perhaps the best example of that, Jimmy. But let's close things off with a little bit of MIAA flair, huh?
So the Hope Flying Dutchmen, which is one of the coolest mascots in all of college football, top defense in the MIAA last year, stepping up big time with the win over Alma, holding the Scots to just 13 points. It's a very, very, very impressive stat there with their electric offense for the Scots. They bring in D2 transfer from Hillsdale, Christian Harima. With how great the defense was, only one player in the top 25 for tackles in the conference, and I think that can be – it just means that there's a lot of balance. There's a lot of guys flying around. Like, not one guy's making every single play, and that tells you they play really, really good team defense, right? And junior safety, Brad Raridan, standing at 6'4", 200 pounds, very tall drink of water, 51 tackles last year and 5 picks. The kid can play ball. Had their first playoff win in program history in 2024. I know Jim Manzo was definitely hyped about that.
Hell yeah.
Can they raise the bar? Can they win 2 playoff games? Can they keep pushing it forward? You know?
Yeah, that's the question for Coach Stursma and company down there. And Stursma, the D3Football.com regional coach of the year last year, he's continued to set the bar for this Hope program at a very high level. And he's done that, right? Last year was a great example of a team that was dominant inside of the regular season. They go on to win that playoff game against Aurora and then play North Central in the second round. Give them a good fight, but that defense faltered against what, again, we know as the best offense in D3 football a year ago. So it's hard to really fault them for that. But again, this Hope team, it feels like they have the opportunity to push the line a little bit further, to set the bar a little bit higher in this 2025 campaign. Personally, having been there, having known some of the staff and players, having some of them on the show, I'm excited to see that matchup, that Hope-Alma rematch this year.
Oh, baby.
That's going to be cinema. That's going to be cinema.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I was just, honestly, last year I was kind of upset watching that playoff game. It's just like, you know, you got this Hope, this powerhouse Hope team, this Cinderella North Central team. I was just hoping Hope, you know, whatever, you know.
You never know. Yeah, you could certainly pull for underdogs in some of those instances. There's definitely a balance, right? Pulling for the underdog, the dark horse, so to speak, and then respecting the greatness that is North Central and the run that they are currently on, the dynasty they're building. It's like a house split, dude. It's tough.
Well, I was setting up some satire there. I was saying Hope was the champion and North Central was the dark horse, but I was trying to be funny. It wasn't that funny anyway.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Jim.
Yeah. Take care, Coach.
Have a
great
good rest of
week.
your night.
Traveling. Have a great week, man.